It's the Tech Addicts Podcast in colour. This week, what's this leak about the Google Pixel Fold? Worldwide PC shipments plunge. A £16,000 drone from DJI. And Casio's got a new watch up their sleeve. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts Podcast. I'm your host Gareth and I'm joined this week by Ted.
Hello. Greetings once again from the north of Wales, where it is cloudy, colder than it has been, and a little bit rainy. Very exciting.
Equally, I'm joined by Ricky.
Hello, welcome from the centre of Milton Keynes, which is cloudy, but it's warm, which is good.
Milton Keynes, that's the roundabout city, eh? Eh?
It is, yeah. Roundabout city.
Wow.
A new city, actually.
You're pretending you knew that.
Well, you know, I do now, so I can say that I know that.
Yes, indeed.
It's not that it was mentioned 15 minutes ago or anything, but there we go. And, yes, I'm in Northern Ireland, as you probably might have guessed from my stupid Ponzi accent, but we're here to entertain you with stories of tech and, well, just tech, really, for the next however long. Today is the day of the UK emergency alert coming through on your phone. However, we are recording this prior to it happening, so by the time you listen to this, it will have happened, and we won't be able to comment on it. So you can delete the comment as appropriate of "Oh, that was interesting," or "Oh, that didn't work." So yeah,
I've turned mine off. I'm kind of interested to hear what it sounds like, but I'm sure it'll be all over the news anyway, and I don't particularly want to be disturbed by it. I won't turn it off ongoingly. If there's something that I need to be told about somewhere down the line, then fair enough. I'm happy to have it alert me, but I don't want to just test it. I'm sure it'll work.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Well, it's over 4G and 5G. It's not over 2G and 3G, which means elderly people are not going to be aware of it, especially my mum. Actually, come to think of it, everyone I've mentioned this to over the last couple of weeks has no idea what I'm talking about. So I don't think the ad campaign that I've seen nothing but ads for is working particularly well. You guys are aware of it then?
People just not paying attention to it. I have seen it everywhere. And the one thing, I think my partner's out today and she said, I'm so glad because currently on my desk I had about 7 phones that were all connected to the network. I am looking forward to 3 o'clock.
Very good, very good. So what are the specifics that we need? No, there's not even any point for us to tell anyone what to do or what have you. So it's all just happened. So hopefully it didn't bother you too much. Hopefully you weren't driving because you're not allowed to acknowledge it while you're driving. That's one of the things. You'll have to sit in the car whilst this is blaring away for 10 seconds. Or 10 minutes, as someone phrased it to me earlier. It's like, no, it's 10 seconds.
Hope they don't blow out the speakers. It can only possibly use any of the sounds that are on your phone, and presumably the one that is set up for alerts, specifically emergency alerts. So I don't know. I suppose they can fix it on maximum volume, or can they? I did discover that if you just turn your phone off at 5 to 3 and turn it back on at 5 past 3, it just won't happen anyway.
Ah, right, okay. So that helps the people who, I believe we discussed it 2 weeks ago, where there were 2 types of people. There was the ones who were victims of domestic abuse, who may have a phone hidden somewhere. So if that's off, it shouldn't ring. But then there's the other type who have a secret phone for connecting with their mistress or what's the male equivalent to a mistress?
A master.
Really? Like in Doctor Who?
As in Bates.
Okay.
I'll
With
tell you
their
what would be quite good
masturbator.
fun.
Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you what would be quite good fun is to go into a busy area at 3:00. Go somewhere where loads of people are, like down the beach or something, and just listen to the chaos going on.
Apparently, I should be in the centre of town around that time because I have to go and meet my wife after this, who will be with children down there and going for a coffee in a coffee shop. So I'll let you know in 2 weeks. What happened? Well, I imagine this is going to be a bit like Find Your Phone, where Google has the ability to use that app, Find Your Device, to raise your volume to the maximum possible and then set off your ringtone.
Right.
So they do have overriding authorities to be able to put your ringtone to as high as possible. But it'll probably just be the default ringtone that you have set up. Unless there's one already set there for a particular purpose. But then would it sound different between Apple and Android if it's And what happens if you're using... Ted, you've got a couple of Ricky, you probably have as well. Steve Litchfield certainly has them. Windows phones. If you were to put a SIM card in those, get a 4G connection, would it work on that too?
May have to go rummaging and see what I can find. But like I said, I'm going to try and capture it, like the phone's connected to as many signals as possible, just to see what they are. And I've got a spread of Android and iOS devices, so I'm intrigued.
And are you going to point a camera on it for YouTube?
Yeah.
If you go to settings and notifications, this is on Android, and emergency alerts, nowhere in that whole process is there anything about what sound it makes. You can turn vibration on and off, but there's nowhere where you can choose what the sound is or what the volume is. So you're probably right, Gareth. They can override it and do what they like. It might just go with the default notification sound, I suppose.
Yeah. But I'm now considering the listeners, because us talking about what might happen whenever they are living in a world where it's already happened, we could just move on to the hardline for the hardware and chat about that instead.
Very wise.
I think so. So we've got some video peeks at the Pixel Fold, Google's Pixel Fold, which we will hopefully be seeing later this year. A video went out on Twitter at Zaraczke, RACZKE, has put up a very, very quick video of how it folds, and the dent, the evidence of the fold in the screen as it folds out. Did you gentlemen get a chance to have a look at this very, very short video?
Yeah, I did have a look at it, and it wasn't very clear at all. They were advocating that the crease doesn't look as bad as it does on the Samsung, but you couldn't really tell from the video, could you, Ricky?
No, because they've blurred the context of the text on screen. You couldn't. It looks not. I like the form factor it's taking. Actually, very much represents the Duo, doesn't it? The Microsoft device.
More like the Oppo N2, I thought.
Yeah, yeah. It's more that squared design.
But certainly wider than the panels on the Samsung Fold 4. No question at all. Which are quite narrow. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you go to the XDA developers page, you can see they freeze framed the video where it's open, and if you enlarge that picture that they've got, you can see the crease. The word that left my brain whilst I was trying to introduce this section at the very bottom of the phone, and it's noticeable there. Yeah. I was looking when I was watching the video, and I could see the crease once I was really... I sort of had the line in mind of where it should be, and I could see it. So I'm hoping that there is still work to be done on the crease to make it much more flush with the chassis.
From what I remember, though, the Oppo Find N2, they cracked that. You can't see the crease when it's open.
You don't want a cracked one.
You can't see it. So why, if you can see it on the Pixel Fold, then they obviously are not furthering whatever Oppo and BBK are doing in terms of the development of their screens and whatever. Or maybe it's not them. Perhaps it's someone else. Perhaps it's BOE or LG or someone that's actually doing it.
Yeah. Well, the question on everyone's tongue right now is, Ted, Ricky, are you going to ditch your phones and get one of these as soon as they come, based around this 1 second video?
1,800 quid? No, 1,900 quid or 1,700 quid, assuming it's dollars for pounds. And, a free watch.
Yeah, it will be a pass for me. I do want a folding device, but I want a more Oppo looking at more than anything at the moment, just because ease of use and bigger screen. I'd like to have a folding device, but I don't think this really sells it to me yet.
Yeah, it has that that feel of early adopters will be complaining for several months, possibly even 12, until the next version comes out. A bit like whenever Samsung put out their first folding device. I think I would probably buy the Pixel Fold 2, but right now I'll let the early adopters take the pain.
Indeed. The other news here was the Pixel 7a, which has been priced at I think it's $499, so thereabouts. But the more exciting bit is that they somebody's digging around in the code or looking at pictures or something and have discovered that it's going to have Qi charging, hopefully, which is the first A series Pixel that has that, and a big differentiator, I think, between what will be the 6A and what will be the 7A, and I'd be much more interested in that. But then I value Qi charging over most people, it seems.
Oh no, I fully agree. I got one in my car, so I love that now. I couldn't go without Qi charging through your...
Yeah, that's a sell for me, and I like the new colour as well that they've come out with the blue. Coral blue, is it? I think.
I haven't seen that.
No, it's on GSMA Arena. They've got it on there about the new blue colour that's rumoured. That looks really nice. And I'm very much like yourself. Qi chargers, I've got one in the office, one in the bedroom, one at the office at work. So it's just there all the time. And then I use the ones on the train. So I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah. Tech addicts against the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there is sad news this week, or this fortnight, or this show, in that worldwide PC shipments have plunged by a third in their first quarter, which is obviously a sign of the times, where people have a lot less disposable income, and perhaps they're making whatever hardware they have right now last them just that wee bit longer. Also, there's things to look into, a bit like where something like cars and mortgages are affected. The likes of, say, buying a brand new spanking Apple iMac thing for £3,000 and trying to finance it over a couple of years, that's going to net you quite a bit in interest, because interest rates are quite high. So we're seeing the whole worldwide PC shipments plunge due to financial concerns. Now, I do wonder how this actually fits in amongst parts. Because I get people asking me quite a lot, you built your own computer, could you build me one, or could you advise me on building one, so that, they can save a little bit of money and maybe build something they would prefer. Because if you put £1,000 into building your own computer, that'll get you what you would probably pay £2,000 from buying from Dell or whatever, but without warranties and without various packages to take concern and worry out of the back of your mind. Where do you gentlemen stand on the plunging world of PC purchasing?
I guess it's inevitable, really, isn't it? I'm seeing more and more people that I know that don't have a computer. They just don't have a need for one, particularly you're not working from home, or even if you're retired or don't have a job or whatever. The people around me that I am in contact with, many of them just live with their phone, or even at the most a tablet and their phone. And I think it's just the way that it's going. It's a bit like, DSLR cameras and phone photography. It's going to dip down and end up being the thing of business and the thing of commerce and the thing of organisations and education, and not individual people so much.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I saw this article, and like before coming on, I'd done a bit of research with friends around the office and spoke in the office, and I said how many, show of hands, like how many had bought a new PC in the last year, and that could have been a desktop or something. And no, some people were saying that they're 5 years on, they're 2 years on. As you said, some people have got finance, and I've noticed some companies now are offering finance 0% for many years, where they normally tend to not do 0% finance. So it looks like the market is trying to fight back by the 0% interest option, which is good for those that want it, but obviously it's going to take a lot longer to pay off over time. Mm-hmm. But as Ted said, I think people are using their smartphones, tablets, and just not a need for a PC anymore, is there? Because you can do so much with a smartphone or a tablet. I don't think the real need, obviously for gaming, I'd say video editing, I like having a desktop for myself. So it is more that professional or organisation that would use it more. So you may see business modelling change in the way it develops and moves on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder if this will affect, not quite affect, but it'll have a repercussion on hardware going forward. Will we start to see, say, for example, drivers, where Apple have managed to get away with it for a number of years of being able to slow down their phones? Will we see the likes of, say, Dell? They have these platforms that are installed on the phone or on the computers to be able to update your drivers once there's a new thing, and they'll say you need to update this driver, and it'll gradually slow down your computer to the point where you need to get a new computer because the one you have is struggling. And if they do that on a wide enough scale, I'm not saying Dell do that, but if the manufacturer was to do that on a large enough scale, they might be able to get away with it and try to reignite people purchasing new computers, and then they can start advertising through said software package or whatever that they have new deals coming about. And as you say, the 0% interest is always an attractive advertising campaign. However, they always sort of they add their interest onto the top of the price of the laptop. I remember being in DFS. They were having a sale, believe it or not, on sofas. And a friend of mine had just started working there, and he told me about how the 0% was actually, the sofa cost £2,400. 0% over 5 years, you could take that out. The sofa actually cost £2,000, but they'd added on the £400, which would be the interest that you would ordinarily pay if you were to take it out. So the interest was already included. They just weren't charging you interest on top of the interest. So they can advertise that as 0%, which is deeply unfair.
Yeah.
But I think the used market for PCs and the parts market is probably going to go through the roof. I've been trying to get myself a 4 terabyte SSD, and I've been keeping my eyes on some of the websites to see if I can grab a cheap deal on something like Transend or a Samsung. And they sell out really quickly. If you spend some time thinking about it, the stock will be gone. So I do suspect that there's a lot of people who are trying to make what they've got go further by doing home upgrades. And all the information is on the internet of how to do that. So hopefully this will just see the PC parts continue to sell and the prices can go down, whereas pre-made ones will go up. If someone walks into PC World today or tomorrow and decides to look for a laptop, they need to know the parts inside to be able to get value for money, and they're prepared to do that research. But it's a very small jump for them to move across to being able to get the parts and put them all together in a case themselves, because it's much better value for money, and it's really quite simple to do. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Trust me.
Just on the back of that, I want to say I even managed to build my own PC. This is a long time ago, where PC World was still open and they sold the parts, and I even managed to do it myself with my Vision, and I enjoyed it. I was worried with certain parts that you paid a lot of money for this CPU, and I think it was an Intel, I don't know what it was back then, I want to say Pentium or something. It was, and you was terrified, but actually it's interesting, it's fun, and like you said, the right to repair has grown as well in the industry, hasn't it? People want to have the right to repair their own equipment because they have bought it, and I think the parts market will go up. And you do hear people with several laptops saying they're old laptops but they don't know what to do with them, or they're worried, and I think those, if they're capable of sort of maybe selling them for parts and selling them for different things that other people find useful, it helps as well the environment, doesn't it, instead of it ending up in a landfill somewhere.
Yeah, and also that you can install Chrome or Linux on an older laptop as well and get a few more years out of it.
My computer that I'm using day in, day out was built in 2014, so it's now 9 years old, and I bought it from Kev Wright from Tech Talk UK, and he, to be fair, in 2014 he built it with all singing, all dancing, everything as a big gaming machine, and it's a whacking great big huge box of a thing. But the point is that I've never touched it. I've never opened it up. I haven't done anything to it. So from the last 9 years, the only thing that is a problem is getting Windows 11. Which it's going to take some major surgery. But apart from that, it flies, it works absolutely fine, and I've never touched it.
Yeah. And whenever you do that for yourself, and in a few years, whenever you feel you need something upgraded, as you say, major surgery isn't that big. You know, you're not having to go back to Dell and say, I need a new computer. Here's £2,000. You need to find £2,000 to be able to get a new computer. You can just open it up and go, right, well, I don't need this, and this. I can downstep and maybe only spend £400 on upgrading a whole load of stuff inside, and then be able to reuse some of the stuff that you already have inside there. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to teach my kids. That's the way forward in life. All right, DJI have announced the Inspire 3, which is a new 45 megapixel full-framed drone-y camera thing that zips around and takes illicit pictures of your neighbours in their bikinis. Ted, tell us about this, because you live on a caravan park where this.
I think the headline news here is that it's got a full frame camera in it and 1 terabyte of storage on an SSD inside it, and it's a right old beast, and it costs $16,000.
Ouch!
So, you know, for those with plenty of money that are really into this kind of thing for whatever. I mean, I guess it's going to be used by business and military and government and to spy on us all, isn't it?
Movie
it's not gonna...
world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, creating film and all the rest of it. So, you know, average Joe is not going to be shelling out 16 grand. Anyway, yeah, full frame camera. That's the highlight for me.
That's got a 1 terabyte SSD inside it, Pro SSD.
It has. Yeah. That's right.
And just a bit of context, this is now 8K compared to 6K and 75 frames.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a bit of a jump there, and that's ProRes, and then 8K 25 at cinema.
Yeah.
28 minutes of fly time.
Terrific. You've really got to want to see your neighbour in their bikini get one of these.
Oh dear.
But even the remote looks like a beast. It's got a huge LCD screen built into it, 7-inch, 1200 nit brightness, with twin sticks either side. It looks like a games console on its own.
Yeah,
terrific.
No wonder it's 16 grand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll have to have a go with one of those. See if we can get some in. Yeah. Better than the £20 one that I got sent once for free. Okay. Razer is jumping onto Elgato's bandwagon. I don't see why, to be honest. Razer is doing this Razer Stream Control X, which is a creative console powered by their Loop Deck platform. It's a smaller version of the likes of the Loop Deck. And I think they're positioning this to be a direct competitor to, well, what looks like the original Elgato. It doesn't quite have the step ups that Elgato have added over years. So I can't imagine who they're going to sell this to, because anyone who's been on the fence has been able to go and get the Elgato for quite some time. Or if they've been holding off looking for particular features, then they've been able to get those and the Loop Deck if they want something a bit more advanced. So putting out a new one that directly competes with the already established Stream Deck from Elgato, it seems like a bit of a weird option, because you're selling to it's a niche product that's already been catered to for quite some time, and this is a pretty expensive option because it's more than the Elgato. This is $150. Ted, would you have one of these?
Well, the context here is that Razer, first of all, copied the Loop Deck Live S, I think it was, which had the buttons on the sides, the dialing knobs and stuff, and a bit underneath it. What they've done here is they've taken the middle section 15 buttons out of that and made it look like a very basic Stream Deck. You're right. What I couldn't get to with this, and they've made it a bit cheaper, so it's $40 less than the Razer rip-off of the Loop Deck Live S that's got the dials. Keep up at the back. So what I didn't quite get with this, though, is that the Loop Deck is famous for having, differently to Stream Deck, capacitive buttons. So you don't press them in. But this looks like it's the first meander away from that. If you look at one of the photographs in this website we're linking to, the one that it's got, the magnetic stand is slightly away from it. Yeah. It looks like the buttons actually press in. It looks like they're physical, and that's like the Elgato, but Loop Deck, on which this is based, have not got that. They've got capacitive buttons. And this is if those are press-in buttons, and this is the first time that I know of that Loop Deck, i.e., Razer Loop Deck, have gone with press-in buttons rather than capacitive. How does that look to you?
Well, I didn't know Loop Deck did capacitive buttons. I've never played with one. Okay. But this just, I don't see what separates this from the Elgato, aside from this being slightly more expensive. Ricky, have you ever used one of these or had any desire?
No, I've seen them in, especially the Elgato ones, I've seen in person, and I've seen other variants of them from different companies. It does look like it is a physical button of some sort that has some movement.
Yeah, it does.
Which I suppose if you were pressing it without looking at it, potentially would be good for feedback. From Razer, I'm a little surprised that there's no RGB lighting in there. They do love to put RGB lighting in everything. But for $150, potentially, £150, maybe a little bit less. It's a good option, isn't it, for anyone that's going into gaming?
Or content creation, which is where it all started, really. Yeah. And don't forget, this is just a rebadged Loop Deck. This is not really Razer. They've just jumped on the bandwagon, and they're just in bed with Loop Deck. So I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. The difference between the Loop Deck stroke Razer and the Stream Deck is clearly the software. And if you look at the software suite that is supplied with the Loop Deck stroke Razer, then it is different, and they just approach it differently. And some like it and some don't. And it's got some features that, both systems have got some features that the other one hasn't. If I was going to buy a Loop Deck, though, I just think I would go with the twirly buttons. Like you said, Gareth, about the the Stream Deck, what was it called? The one that you were after with the 4 buttons at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Was it XL?
The knobs, yeah.
Yeah, the ones with the knobs on it, and it's still 199 quid. But if I was going to go for one of these now, I think I'd want me knobs.
Yeah, you like your knobs. Well, even the Stream Deck Mark II is actually it's cheaper now than the Stream Deck Mark One. It's $138.99 to buy off Amazon today. So unless you have some sort of brand loyalty, why would you go with the Razer when you could have the Elgato Stream Deck? I've got a funny feeling as well that the Stream Deck's going to be slightly more supported because it's the one that's got all the tools and things that have built up over the last 4 or 5 years since it's been out.
Yeah, I'm not sure when they started, to be honest. But the Loop Deck, if Razer are piggybacking the Loop Deck software, that too is well supported. So, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe Razer have gone their own way on the software as well.
Yeah. The Stream Deck's now available in white.
Yes, it is. You're right.
Thank you. Great. Okay, well, coming on to Bedrock next. Bedrock is a new AI-generated text and image service from Amazon, where you can get Amazon to develop stuff for you. Has anyone any interest in this at all?
It looks like it's a business commerce tool. It looks to me like Amazon have generated this thing called the foundation model of the Titan software baseline, and they've made it available to sell out to developers and companies in order to change their services into one that has AI built into it as well, because everyone's going that way. And I don't know, this seems to be like a new thing for Amazon, just getting in this level. You'd expect Amazon normally to do things themselves, to actually put this out to the public and make an Amazon AI thing of some description. But no, it looks like they're working on an engine that they're going to sell out to developers. So is that how you see it, Ricky?
Yeah, again, looking through the article, that's how I see it, 'cause it's going into the AWS services, isn't it? So it's going to definitely be for companies to utilise and use, and potentially a product to be sold.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So
I'm just wondering.
Well, it allows you to summarise text and classify images based on a couple of text prompts, which is kind of interesting. So would you be able to throw like all your documents and research into it and get it to come up with web optimized sales speak for the product that you're trying to manufacture, plus create some jazzy images? I mean, I went. I bought a new car a couple of months ago. I decided to put the description of that car into an AI generator to see if I could, create some imagery surrounding the car that I bought, because I love my car. And it was complete atrocity. Whereas someone else went and did that as well, and they came back with this pretty fantastic image that I now plaster everywhere because there's no copyright attached to it. Thankfully, the government did something right there. You can create, if you've got the skills, good AI imagery from text. So if Amazon was, they would be able to generate their content. Say, for example, Clear, where wanting to put stuff on their Amazon web store in Amazon itself, they would be able to create videos and imagery and things like that from their press releases and stuff like that to save them time, and it might be more accurate than the language barrier that we sometimes see on Amazon, where a power bank is poorly translated from Mandarin to English, and it might get better results that way too.
Perhaps one of the primary ideas is to sell it out to other companies, let them run with it, and then buy a form of it back in order to use on Amazon websites.
Well, yeah, I suppose, and they could also monitor what way people are starting to use it as well and develop it that way too. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll be coming back to AI-generated crap later on. Right now, we're going to talk about something cool. And this is Casio's latest G-Shock. The G-Squad DWH5600 is a fitness watch that does a bunch of new things. It's been released in time for the 40th anniversary of the G-Shock, which makes me think that, no, wait, hang on a second. I'm not that old. I had a G-Shock whenever I was a kid. But then I suppose I got it when I was about 13 or 14, so... or no, it was after that, actually. Yeah, it was about 20, maybe. And it travelled the world with me. But, yeah, it was fairly early on. This new one measures 51 by 44 by 17 and weighs 59 grams. It's got a hybrid resin and a stainless steel bezel. It does wireless charging, wired charging, solar charging. It's got an accelerometer inside of it. There's a Bluetooth smartphone link that you can use with the Casio Watch app on your phone. Yeah, you gentlemen have one of these, want one of these, desire one of these indestructible beasties?
If I wore a watch, I probably would, yeah. Because I'd much rather have one that looked like a watch than looked like a smartphone, personally. But, smartphones are just the thing. The look of a watch is becoming very much like smartphones. And you can't change this one, which to me is a benefit, in a sense. But other people will say, "Oh, you're stuck with the way it looks. We've got used to making our watches look however we like."
Okay, well, that's a criticism that you hear frequently down the pub. Ricky, you want one of these?
I always have a smartwatch with me, and I've had one for a long time, different sort of companies, and I think. Actually, potentially, looking at the price tag as well, £269, $300. It's an anniversary model. It's saying it's limited, but not how many numbers that means limited. So it could be 40, could be 4,000, 400,000. But it looks smart, and I'm just wondering what it's actually like to use from an accessible point of view as well. I looked at one a long time ago, but it would be nice to take another look. So potentially I may grab this.
Yeah, I quite like this. Having had G-Shocks in the past, I kind of swear about my old G-Shock is still ticking away, but I haven't. I think the battery died some time ago, and whenever you go to change the battery, I believe you lose the water resistance capability unless you take it to a skilled technician. And I've been meaning to do that, but just haven't got around to it. But the battery ticked away for, 10, 20 years perhaps. Getting a new one is a nice idea. And I know I got excited by it whenever they first announced that they were doing the Bluetooth side of things, but I was never able to find the one that we discussed on the show. But this would be a nice one.
Oh, I think am I fine? No, maybe not. I thought I'd found it for 100 and something quid, but no. I don't think it's for sale yet, is it? I can't seem to find it anywhere.
No, I think it goes on sale in Japan May time,
okay.
And then other regions just after that by the looks of it.
Right.
Right, well, I've got a link here on gcentral.com, and I'll follow that and maybe pick one. Oh, I've got a picture of the charging method as well. Oh, it's interesting. It's like a little, it's like a crocodile clip that you press down on one end, stick the watch in, and then release, and it clamps down on it, so it's not coming out too easily. And there's 2 pogo pins on the underside of it. Yeah, it looks cool. I want one of those. I'll leave some subtle hints around the house, like so I can get one in time for Christmas. Because it's almost Christmas, actually. It's April. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Next up, Samsung are working on a foldable tablet called the Galaxy Z Tab, which is funny because it doesn't fold in a Z shape, like if you were to imagine a Z to fold. But whenever you see the images of this on the Let's Go Digital's images of what they have, it actually reminds me of the original Samsung Galaxy Tab S, which was such a beautifully thin little tablet. And whenever you put the book cover on it, it didn't really increase the size terribly much. It was such a nice tablet to hold. I loved those years that tablet was relevant, because it was just a beautifully small, thin, simple tablet to take with you. And I'm really hoping that this is the same. And I'm hoping that the back of it, the white sort of the area around the back, is not screen, but it's actually some sort of book material like leather or something like that. So that this is just a one lump jobby. It's a trifold as well. So it's a tablet that has sort of opening, closing doors, a bit like a dartboard enclosure. And whenever you turn it round, I think you can turn it back on itself as well. You can store the pen in between the two barn doors that close down on the screen. And if they had like some sort of leathery material around the back, that would really capture that feel of the old tablet, the Galaxy Tab S that they did. Gentlemen, any thoughts?
I don't think that this concept drawing, tech drawing, is the way that they would be going. Personally,
no.
I don't think they would be doing this. It's too exposed, and the screen is out there. We've seen screens on the outward curve done before, and they've gone nowhere. They've just been concept devices. I think that personally, if Samsung are doing a Z Tab, so-called, I think it's much more likely to be a 8 or 9 inch tablet, or maybe 10, that simply folds in half. Like, they've got the tech done for the folding phones and the flipping phones. They know how to do that one fold on the screen, and that would make if you think about your Tab, in my case, Tab S8, okay, that's a little bit big, but if you folded it in half, that would suddenly become much more transportable, and very much like a Microsoft Surface Duo, that kind of idea. The fold is just so you can put it away. That's my personal opinion. Ricky?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's too much. If you look at the images, it shows the screen, whatever way you put it down, a piece of screen will be touching a surface, and it just opens up then two issues. And I think if they folded it the other way in on itself, that would be better. Mm-hmm. Also, I agree with you. If you had one fold, it would then be a lot easier. Even if potentially they've folded it horizontal as a tablet, if you folded it horizontal instead of vertical.
Be very tall, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be tall, but it would be a little bit thinner, maybe. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the way, but at the moment, I can't see it being released like this. And it does hark back. Remember that Samsung had a video launch, didn't they? And they had a mystery tablet on the table once before, didn't they? And they never really released that tablet. I think it was dubbed as sort of like the Galaxy Tab Pro, wasn't it? But it never got released. It was always a concept that they'd just put in their advert.
From these drawings, you're surmising that there's a screen on both sides of the device?
There will be once folded.
Folded as in the bottom right-hand corner fold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once fold...
And you can't fold it the other way, that's the point.
Oh, right.
So you can't make that leather back, if that's what it is, be the one that you fold into to protect the screens, is what Ricky's saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a wee bit of a confusing schematic. I'll grant you that, because I did take the bottom right picture there, where it shows like it's a blue leather back, but then up in the top left, the screen is blue. So it does the blue depict a screen? Because if
the bottom right-hand corner picture was the blue, was the leather back, then that would have more mileage, I think.
Yes, that's what I was really hoping for.
Yeah, you could close it up and then it'd be protected. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hopefully that's what they do, and not more screens. And also from the point of view that, well, they're having to install two hinges here as opposed to just one. So you're absolutely right about the whole Surface Pro or Google Pixel Fold type idea, where you've got a big one that folds in half. Yeah, that would be more sensible.
Well, I've got my Samsung Galaxy Tab here, and in my hand, and if it folded in half, it would then be the size of, say, an iPad Mini, and that would be really good for handbags and big pockets, and it would be much better than the size of these like 10 and 11-inch S Tab units. So that's where I would like it to go.
All right, fair enough. Resnozno. Yeah, we all know them, don't we? Scientists are developing a phone with a battery that charges in 8 minutes and can last up to 68 years.
Just to be clear, the 68 years isn't on one charge. That means that the life expectancy of the usefulness of the thing is 68 years. Carry on.
No, I was quite happy that you were taking the lead on this because
okay.
I started reading it, but I got a bit bored, to be honest.
This is a bunch of scientists in Poland. And just to be clear, this news is not new. This article was based in January of this year. And for some reason, everyone's missed it, I think. So I thought I'd dig it out. And it looks like a little kind of floppy credit card size device, which is a battery. And it allegedly will last... they've worked it out to be 68 years based on 25,000 charging cycles, as opposed to lithium-ion batteries where you're lucky to get 2,000 out of them, which they've factored up into 68 years. There's all sorts of chemical tech going on in terms of how they're doing this. There's diagrams that you need a degree to understand about compounds and energy density and blah crystallinity, cathode structures. So good luck understanding all that. But the point is that for the user and lots of devices, if you had a thing that was that thin, that small, that flexible, that would just replace your battery in all your devices, you'd be laughing. It's funny how I've heard nothing about this though since January, and no one else has mentioned it that I've heard of.
Well, they're not going to state it on the news because having Hugh Edwards sitting on the BBC News going, news, and then, that's impossible for them to do. But yes, it's a very exciting thing, and I do look forward to 68 years' time to see if that actually it continues to work.
Yeah. The one thing I would say is it may have gone quiet. I'm wondering if another company's picked this up already, like purchased them. And obviously, this is all we've sort of seen of them. Because, as you said, Ted, with not very scientific hat on, just a bit of an explanation, current batteries are sort of like a porous sort of sponge. If you think loads of holes going through it, the density of it means that the battery drains quicker. And they're saying with the new higher crystalline cathode structure, it will last longer, the energy. But yes, I think your battery's a sponge at the moment, and now it's going to become a stronger structure,
like
basically.
an SSD.
Yeah, in a nutshell. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if, say, we find out a company has picked this up, like purchased them, and then obviously if they have purchased them, then there'll be a sort of a gagging order or a restraining about them publishing any more news.
Yeah. Apparently it uses vacuum evaporation process enhanced by high density plasma.
Brilliant. Listen to you two. You sound so intelligent. I can't even pronounce the company name.
That's why we left that one up to you.
I see. Right, okay. Well, we'll stop talking about alloys and compositions and things with molecular structures, and I move on to lip licking.
Oh yeah, this looks
I
really
can't even
interesting.
pronounce this either.
Did you watch the YouTube video through on this?
I did, yeah. I thought it was a bit of a joke when I saw it at the start of the week.
It just looked like it worked brilliantly well for people with disabilities, people without arms, and the stuff that this guy was doing. So it's this device that you kind of put on your top lip, and well, it goes round to the ear, but I'm guessing that that's just the connectivity stuff. I'm guessing that in time they will make that wireless, so you won't have that monstrosity going around there. But the stuff he was doing using his tongue, and there's 5 sensors on it. So if you think of it a bit like the number of not exactly the same, but the Braille system, where you've got so many incredible different ways of using 5 or 6 buttons. Well, you can do that with your tongue, and he was demonstrating this. Did you watch the video, Ricky?
No, I haven't had a chance, and you're completely right. I think it's 6 dots with Braille, but then you've got a whole alphabet with just 6 dots, and the way that they're arranged, or you can put them together as well. So there's 2 different types of Braille where you can put words like ER and TH and stuff. It's incredible. And actually, I'm looking forward to watching the video for this, because anything like this helps people so much. Mm-hmm. When look at the guy that does Call of Duty through a whistle, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he controls Call of Duty through a whistle, which is incredible.
Right.
Through his mouth, and it's unbelievable that he's a really well-known gamer on sort of Twitch and YouTube, and it's just incredible that people will find a way. I love that people...
Yeah.
Obviously, you get those that are a little bit, why me, I'm frustrated and stuff. And then you get other people that say, right, okay, I can't do it the everyday way. I'm going to find my own way. And this is just... I'm wondering what part of the brain it goes into. It must be sort of a cortex. Or like to send the signal.
Right. I thought it was just it was in the mouth, and then it goes round the back down to a computer or something, or some sort of translator to be able to turn it into.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think it doesn't patch into your brain. I think it's just a controller.
Oh, okay, got you. Sorry,
No. It is a bit confusing, but watching him, when you get to watch the video, you'll see it'll be very clear what it does and how it's used. This guy has videoed doing about 4 or 5 different activities, and you can see very clearly that he's doing really well with it. We used to have a guy when I was in a previous life and providing services to people with disabilities. We had a guy who had no use of his arms, and he had use of one foot. He couldn't use the other one, and he wrote a book by just tapping out on the screen in front of him, a bit like Stephen Hawking, I suppose, in a slightly different way, tapping out letter by letter painstakingly. And you're right, Ricky, people do find a way, and this will be, I think, it's just great that this kind of stuff is being developed.
Yeah.
Terrific, yeah. And it looks like a marvellous product, and hopefully it revolutionised the way some people are able to communicate, and it's relatively easy for people to pick up. Hopefully, I think that's the other side as well. The learning curve could be quite tremendous, but if you're determined, then you can understand it. The idea of having to say, tomorrow anything could happen, and then you might need to learn Braille, or you might need to learn sign language or something like that. That could be really difficult for someone who's so set in their ways to do, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the Samsung Galaxy Ring, and Ted, I figured you'd probably be best to take this forward, because I hear you constantly exploring Aidan Bell's ring on whatever works.
He got a ring, didn't he? But it was a very simple payment ring, and he charged it up. You send money to this company, and then go down to Tesco's and put this ring against the payment thingy, and it's just like it's using your phone. So that was his thing. This one is more about a smarter Galaxy Ring that takes ECG readings and all sorts of other stuff that you'd expect your watch to do, your smart watch to do. But they reckon it's much more accurate and better, because it works on all sides. With a watch, as you'll know, Ricky, you've got just the one side of your wrist that it's working on, not right the way round. Whereas
Yeah.
with a ring, you can put sensors all the way around the ring on the inside, and it can pick up loads more data and information. The downside, of course, is that it hasn't got a screen, so it's got to be paired up with a phone or some other display in order for it to work. But I dread to think how much it's going to cost initially when it comes out, if it comes out. But it looks like they're onto it.
It does scream at me adjustability. Where a watch, you can adjust the strap and put on new straps. This, they would have to make it in every ring size, but then people are sometimes in between ring sizes or might need to get it enlarged or taken down depending on the weight that they are whenever the ring is fitted to them.
If you look at that first picture at the top there, Gareth, it's possible that if you look at the inside of the circumference, is it possible that that's a flexible sizing ring inside?
I don't
See
know.
what
Is
I
the
mean?
outside not made of metal? Which
Yeah,
isn't
but
the most flexible?
No. But the inside, if you look at the inside circle, there's what looks like a transparent inner ring, which I thought maybe is flexible, so it changes to the size of your ring, your finger. It was just a thought.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right, okay. So it could be something that you put inside a ring that you like, and then it fits to it.
No, that's not what I mean at all.
Oh, right.
We'll give up on this, shall we? The inside circumference of the ring has got this what looks like transparent, opaque, whatever
Plastic,
yeah,
something.
plastic. And I'm wondering if that gives, so that if you've got a slightly bigger finger, it will push it outwards, and if you've got a slightly smaller finger, it will allow it to come inwards and still fit you. I'm probably not explaining this very well. Move on.
Okay. Well, I was thinking that perhaps I could add in that I have a platinum ring from a ceremony that I had to endure a number of years ago to a woman, and it was supposed to never ever misshapen. However, it is no longer a perfect circle. Somehow I've managed to reshape platinum. I think I must be some sort of superhero or perhaps a god, and have done that. I wouldn't like that to happen to this because that could sever some connections. But that was something that I thought about saying earlier on. But I won't say it now because we're moving on at some haste because Ted's not wanting to talk about that anymore. Okay. So, next up is the Revive Machines thing. This popped up actually on a YouTube feed, and I felt like featuring it because it sounds so very, very exciting. Revive Machines are looking to produce, and there's nothing yet, there's only a web page and a Twitter account with no tweets, but it all sounds so very, very hopeful. They are a company from Poland, and they're looking to produce a new version of the Atari 800 XL. Now, one person out there, I think, their ears are probably pricking up, and everyone else is going, what the hell's an 800 XL? Well, it was a little 8-bit computer that kind of duked it out with the ZX Spectrum, the Commodore 64, and the Amstrad CPC back in the 80s. I loved the look of them, but I didn't know about them at the time, and I only found out about them, I think, at the late 90s, whenever they were dirt cheap, and I almost picked one up from eBay, but then I noticed that it didn't work or something like that, and I didn't purchase it at all. It was like £4 or something. It was dirt cheap. This is a newer version of it that looks very much like the original version, but it's been expanded with a whole rake of new ports and things to make it not just an old tribute computer, or like you had the mini computers. This is a proper full-sized version of it, but it's got a bunch of new ports as well. Whilst it retains the likes of the cartridge slot and the classic 9-pin standard controller ports for joysticks, it also has a couple of USBs, USB Type-C for power, a monitor cable plus a parallel bus cable, which is unthinkable, but then there's an HDMI on the back of it too, so you can use old hardware, new hardware and generally just have an old new computer. New old computer, isn't that it? Which way is it around? New old computer. What do you think, gentlemen? Would you be excited about the Atari 800XL? Have you ever heard of it before?
I've missed out on this completely. I remember these kind of things being around, but
computers.
I had an Electron. I went the VVC way, so all this is a bit lost on me, even if I did remember it. But yeah, great for anyone that can be nostalgic. If you down the bottom of the screen, you can see some screenshots of some of the games that you'll be able to play on it, and they're very Evercade-ish, aren't they? So you'll love this, Gareth, won't you?
Oh yeah, I've always wanted an 800XL since I found out about them, because they're kind of like the unsung heroes. Like Atari made it through the gaming crash, and they continued to push out consoles and computers. Right up until, what was the Jaguar was their last one, I suppose. I think the brand's still around today, but it's not what it used to be. Ricky, what about you? Do you have any love for these sorts of things?
I can remember having a go on one of these, like the old form Ataris.
Really?
Yeah, and it brings back nostalgia, doesn't it? And just seeing the different ports put together on one machine, you think your mind's melting, isn't it, really?
Well, I love the idea that they've taken it the other way. Instead of, where you've got the mini SNES or the mini Genesis Mega Drive type thing, this is going the other way, where you have the 800XL, but you can do more with it. They're trying to keep it a bit more like what was that Spectrum they released? The Spectrum Next, I think a couple of years ago. Which was a sort of modern machine that had 32-bit parts in it, but also it could emulate the 8-bit parts perfectly. So it was like a modern machine that was a Spectrum as well, and it was updated. So this is essentially an Atari 5400, which is the second games console. They had the Woody one, or the 2600, then the 5400, then the 7800. This is the 5400, but with a keyboard added to it, so it's compatible with most of the library of Atari games. I'm dead excited about it. I'll have one. Revive Machines, I hope you're not pulling our leg, and you're going to be putting one of these out. I'll buy.
Have you still got some of the controllers and what have you in the loft?
No, I've never actually. I had an Atari Jaguar and Atari Lynx. I've never had anything before that.
Okay.
I tried to buy, when I was quite young, a 2600 out of a second-hand shop in the city that I'm from, but my parents said no, I'm not wasting my money on that rubbish. I was like, oh, fair enough. So, okay. Ted, tell us about ReadMoo.
There's nothing much to tell here. It's more folding news, and it's e-ink readers like a Kindle or ever. Some company in Japan, I think it is, has announced that they have worked out a way of folding an e-ink screen, and it's called ReadMoo, or the company's called ReadMoo, an 8-inch Gallery 3 it's called, and there's a photograph there of them using it on a display of some sort, probably an event in Japan, and they're folding the e-ink panel, which has never been done before. So yeah, the implications are obvious. You can have an e-ink book machine of some sort, like we were saying earlier about the Samsung one, and you can fold it away and put it away and open it up to read it. Great.
Terrific. I don't understand ReadMoo. It's a bit of a crap title. We're going to come up with something catchier than that. Fair enough. Okay, what's next? Oh, Seagate and the naughty Seagate folks. Yes, I don't quite agree with this, because I think it's... well, I'll see if I can cobble it together. Seagate have been fined recently up to $300 million because they were caught selling hard drives to Huawei, not buying stuff or collecting information or anything like that, but actually selling stuff to Huawei because they're on the trading no-go list, or the entity list, the US trade blacklist. And I don't exactly see the point in stopping people selling to China if they can sell to China. I can understand stopping buying from China, but if they were to stop selling to China, that directly affects the profits of an American company. And it's not, whilst it may go on to be used for nefarious reasons, as long as the sale is above board, then I don't see why they should be clamping down and hitting them with such a huge fine for selling to another company. And it's hard drives. It's not like they're selling plutonium or nuclear fuel or something like that. It's hard drives that a company obviously needs to operate. What is this? Am I thinking stupidly? Am I being stupid? Am I being unpatriotic and un-American for the Irish person that I am? Because I'm Irish today. What do you folks think? Is this bad? Is this good? Is it silly? Is it
I think
Illuminati capers?
I think that the ban was supposed to work both ways. You just don't deal with American companies. Don't deal with Chinese companies on this kind of tech level. Huawei being one of the list of however many the growing list has become now. But it's a bit hard on Seagate, possibly, because they have said that they believe they had complied with the relevant export control laws at the time, and made hard disk drive sales at the time, and they were just confused about the rules. And I mean, it's easy for someone to say that. They thought that these foreign-made drives were not subject to US control. So Seagate have bought in some drives made by some other third-party company, no doubt. They've then sold them out from America, and they thought that because they were not made in America or designed in America, that it didn't comply. But clearly it does, and they got wrapped on the knuckles for it. This is all happening incidentally back in 2020 and 2021, so it's not recent particularly. But yeah, it would be easy for them to say that in their defence, wouldn't it? Oh, sorry, we didn't know.
Yeah. Well, considering they made 1.1 billion in total from the deal, 300 million isn't that much. So it's not like they're really reveling from the pain. Ricky, any thoughts?
I think they've tried to comply with it, as Ted said, with the drives being made in a foreign country as such. It's not a direct sale, but obviously because of ownership and stuff like that, if you get into the legalities of it.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like, but they've agreed to pay it straight away, so it seems like they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing.
The US government got their tax revenue from them, so I'm sure they're not complaining that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if Seagate aren't the foremost in hard drive manufacturing. I'd say they're probably a company that has struggled from time to time, and if they've got an opportunity to make 1.1 billion by selling some of their hard drives to another country or a recognised competitor, but whilst it can be put on the blacklist, it's not going to affect the security of the nation if they sell their hard drives to Huawei. And Huawei are quite happy to take them off them. Admittedly, that could be one way that the Chinese government are probably creating instability within the American technological infrastructure by doing that, and now Seagate has to pay this fine, which potentially means that company could fold if their bank account was very much requiring this deal to go through. You know, they could have been in desperate times or something, and this cash injection would help them continue on or get them out of a difficult spot, which the American government's certainly not going to do for Seagate if they needed that assistance. I feel that it really is knuckle wrapping for the sake of nothing, because they're not selling something that's going to suddenly create a problem for the American government and the security of the United States of America.
In fact, they could use it as an opportunity to spy on China.
Exactly.
Let them sell them out there, and we'll litter it with bloatware and spyware, and yes.
Or maybe this is all a facade and it didn't actually happen. It's a fake news thing that they're saying they're finding, but every one of those hard drives has a little executable on it that allows Joe Biden to see what the users are using or storing on it. Yeah. All right. Well, before we cause any more controversy or plunge the world into a international war, we'll move on to In the Name of the Game, where we've got Ted. You've got a play date.
I haven't. I wish I did have one. Yeah, I have got an update. They've added some more Playdate. They've added some more games and a calculator, which they've called the Crankulator, of course, because this was the device that we covered on the show some months ago, probably, where it's a very, very tiny, weeny little device. But you can power it and do all sorts of things by using the crank on the side, and you can use it as a mouse and all sorts of stuff. It looks like a load of fun, but you just can't get these things. They've added a few games to it, yeah. So there's Gravity Express, Sparrow Solitaire, Life's Too Short. It's very original Game Boy-like in terms of its how the games look. But I went to the Playdate website again today, and firstly, the price has gone up from $149 to $199. So they've hiked the price up by the looks of it. And furthermore, you can't get them. If you try and order one, you've got till I think it's the end of 2023 to get for them to deliver it. You know, so these are just like at the moment a bit like vaporware. Hopefully, in time, it feels a bit like backing a Kickstarter campaign, to be honest, and it's a real shame. If this was in Amazon for sale, I might well be thinking about it, but I don't know. Have you heard about these, Ricky?
No, I haven't. I've just seen the website and stuff, and yeah, it seems a little pocket Game Boy as such, doesn't it? A very small, compact version.
Very small. I remember when we spoke about it on the show before, we sized it up, and I thought my fingers would just not really work with that very well at all.
Well, yeah,
anyway.
I still think it's a bit of a pointless device, but I like the idea that it's got its own titles as opposed to just being another retro emulator.
Yeah.
But those titles do seem to be quite expensive, where that Gravity Express is going to cost $10.
Right.
And that's quite a bit. But it does look like it's a well-produced, fun retro thing that runs quite smoothly.
Yeah, definitely. When it's on sale on Amazon, as I say, I'll get one.
Well, you can pre-order from their website now, and it's only $200.
It is, and I was saying while you disappeared and started slamming doors
That was my son. I was helping him with.
They hiked the price from $149 to $199 in the time that we've spoken about it on this show, which is a bit naughty, isn't it? And then they're not delivering until the end of 2023 by the looks of it.
Well, that's not too far away. It's only April. It's almost Christmas.
Fair enough. You get one then.
No, you're okay. I've got my Ambernick, and my Evercade's collecting dust. Okay, Sega's buying Angry Birds maker Rovio for $776 million. Why? Ted, why? Why? Tell me now.
Because they want some of the tech that Rovio have got copyrighted, and they can't use it unless they're trying to kickstart their mobile presence with mobile games, Sega, and they think that this is a good way of doing it. Rovio, although they've got about 15 games or something like that. The only one that's really made it big was Angry Birds. If you look at the Play Store for Android, there's a bunch of other ones, but they're all Angry Birds kind of sidekicks and knockoffs, and I haven't heard of most of them, which means that it's just this one game. But I think it's more than that. I think Sega want to buy into the tech and to be able to develop their own portfolio from what they buy, what they get with the purchase from Rovio.
Okay. Sega have a large amount of properties that people would kill their grannies to play again if they were to put them out. I mean, Sega Rally, one of the greatest driving games ever made. If they were even just to do a home-built retro console of that, people would trip over each other to be able to purchase them. Well, they obviously own Sonic the Hedgehog, which they've done to death, and they could leave that alone, perhaps, for a while, and focus on Afterburner, or one of the other properties that Sega did so well back whenever they were making the Mega Drive. Why not explore some of their other franchises? Bring them back. I had another one on the tip of my tongue there, but I forgot what it was called when I was thinking of Afterburner. But I don't understand why they need to go and buy Rovio to get the Angry Birds brand for such an obscene amount of money.
No, it's not. The article is saying that they want the underlying code and the stuff that will help them to develop their own mobile gaming empire. And there's obviously something that Rovio got copyrighted or own that they want to get on. Do you see what I mean?
I wonder if they're just buying it because Microsoft will end up buying it if they don't. Because Microsoft seem to want to buy everything. I imagine that Sega is going to be bought by Microsoft at some stage.
Is it possible that Sega can make their games to release the ones they've got better by using the code that Rovio have got locked down? That's my only thought.
I can't imagine that an Angry Birds version of Afterburner would be particularly good, or Bad Piggies, or there's nothing in their list of, unless it's going before, from 2003 to 2009 they made a bunch of things like Java games, Burger Rush, Burnout, which I imagine that they would probably be work that they do for bigger company. What do you call that? They take a contracted work. Need for Speed Carbon. Imagine that was EA contacted them saying, can you make a Java version of Need for Speed Carbon? And then they went their own way for having made such profits and doing so well, and then made themselves Angry Birds, their own IP, which did really very well. And they've done virtually nothing other than Angry Birds. Selfie Slam, Nibblers, Battle Bay, Sugar Blast, and Small Town Murders.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That those bunch that are in the Play Store are virtual unknowns. That Small Town Murder one actually looks quite interesting. But yeah, and that's why I think there's something more to the story than we know about, really. And it's more to do with what they get with the sale, rather than just buying the Angry Birds name, which actually is going down the pan anyway. The Angry Birds game, in terms of downloads, has hugely dropped off. So that that's not what they're after. They're after something else, and it all seems like it's all a bit hidden.
Fair enough. It's a bizarre one. It seems a huge amount of money for a dying company with a dying brand, which is what Sega was some years ago, and they could quite happily go and rejig some of their more beloved games. Have a look at Sega's list of own properties that they own, and any one of those would make them, or net them, a huge amount. Echo the Dolphin, Earthworm Jim, Ghosts and Goblins. Wow, Golden Axe. Bring those back.
You're on your own with Sega.
I honestly preferred Sega over Nintendo back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
Ricky, which side of the fence do you fall on? Ted's or mine?
I'm going to say I had Sega.
Good man.
Yeah, I had Sega growing up, so I very much fall on that side of the sword, I think.
Good news. It's 2 against 1, Ted, you're in trouble. All right, keeping on with the gaming side of things, we've got Amazon Luna that is being, it's quietly launched here in the UK. and it's Stadia, but on Amazon using not the controller that they sold you when you bought your Fire TV, but a new controller that's got the same button layout as the one that they sold you when you bought your Fire TV. That £45 controller, you can get a new one and then be able to play it on Windows, Mac, Chromebook, Chrome browser, Microsoft Edge, Fire TV and tablet, iPhone, iPad, Android TV, or Android and Samsung TV. Ted, have you had a go?
Ooh, no, I have not. I was waiting for you to do it.
Oh, no.
I'm not sure if you can. How you reckon you can use keyboard and mouse, don't you, with these games? Whereas
I don't reckon you can, because it did. Right. That's right. 2 weeks ago.
Whereas Amazon are kind of trying to sell their controller as an extra, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Why are you asking me then? If you've played with it?
Well, it's either you or Ricky, and I don't think Ricky's played it. Ricky, have you played Luna?
No, I've just had a look. It's downloaded now for the Mac. I'm going to definitely give it a try. But it says you can use the Luna controller, PS4 DualShock wireless controller, Xbox One controller, mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So they are giving the full range, which is really good.
Oh, right.
I'm going to give it a try and just have a look, see what the experience is.
What's the range of games then? Do we know?
That's quite hard to find out.
Right.
Well, as we worked out on the last show, if you have Amazon Prime and the Prime Gaming, I think they added 4 titles to Luna that you can play. I can't remember what they were, mind you, and I had a go at one of them before we started recording, and I was able to use mouse and keyboard on it, but it wasn't terribly intuitive, and I had to crash out of it because I couldn't find the escape button or quit out of it. But Amazon Prime adds some that you have a limited window to be able to play, maybe 3 months or 6 months or something like that, a bit like Stadia did and PlayStation and Xbox do. So there'll be a revolving collection of games that you can dip into on a monthly basis.
Yeah, there's quite a long list of games that you can choose from. A lot from Ubisoft, by the looks of it.
Yes, there always is. They'll give their stuff away to anyone.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a try, see what it is, what it's like. It'd be interesting because I am a Prime member to see what that's like as well. Yes, a Prime Gaming. Be interesting to see.
Yeah. No, it's a decent enough option for folks who... Oh, I've got the list of games. Woohoo! For options for people who maybe are still reeling from losing Stadia. Prime members can now play the Jackbox Party Pack 3, Yakuza 2, Horizon Chase Turbo, which is a fantastic game, and the Adventure Pals that I've never heard of. But I don't remember any of those being what I saw 2 weeks ago. Mega Man 11 saying that I can continue playing that, so that must have been one of the ones that they gave before. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we'll see going forward what exactly happens with Luna if they shut it down in a year's time. A bit like Google did with Stadia. Right. Flapping traps about apps. Let's start with the top 7 AI anime art generators for 2023. Ted, what kind of scantily clad women have you managed to generate in these?
I haven't tried it at all, any of these, but the article runs through the 7 top ones, which basically are kind of porn generators, by the looks of it. Yeah. One of them particularly almost makes it obvious that's what... Which one is it? One of them kind of almost... Is it Pixo? Yeah, one of them actually is quite upfront about the fact that they expect people to just generate porn with their tool. I'm not saying that it is Pixo, but anyway, yes, very clever stuff. And a list of 7 tools. All of them are paid. You can't even try. I did try to try out one of them, and you can't get past. You can't get to even trial it or see what. You've got to cough up money to even see what it does. I have seen some people using these tools though on TikTok this week. One of them takes a video that's been shot and turns it into Japanese anime stuff, and it worked really, really well. There's these rich Japanese teenage girls are all buying into this and doing it and having fun with it. It looks like it's really, really clever. All you do is type in text and you describe, like you do with Bard or ChatGPT or whatever. You describe what you want it to generate, and off it goes, and it does it. And apparently, it works really, really well. If you want to see, as I say, some examples of what's going on with this, then yeah, just have a scroll through TikTok, and you'll see people playing with it, and it really, really is very impressive. But I haven't seen any porn yet. Have you?
No, I haven't. Ricky, porn observation?
No. Again, I've seen stuff on TikTok that people are using these and seeing what they come up with. And again, people's minds just go swing far left or far right straight away, don't they? They just sort of like, oh, what can I do today?
Well, and again, that's always the way, isn't it? As soon as whenever you were a child and you pick up a dictionary, you go straight for dirty words.
Yeah.
Indeed. Anyway, loads of options for people that you want to have a play with, and most of them are Android and iOS downloadable. Play away.
Well, two of them say that one of them has a really, really heavy fee, which is something like $49 per month. But then two of them say that they're completely free. I'm wondering how I'm scared to click through them. I don't really want to.
I didn't find any free ones. I think it might be a trap.
Oh, right, okay. Is that another term? No, never mind. Okay. Twitter is increasing paid users' tweet limit to 10,000 characters in another move to make the social network less appealing to everyone. Twitter self-destruction imminent?
I don't use Twitter hardly at all. I know you do a bit, but making this, you see, in order to get this, you've got to pay into Twitter Blue, which is $8 a month, apparently. And making this a blogging platform, essentially, by letting people put 10,000 characters in, you're just changing the whole basis under which Twitter was devised and has been used. And maybe that's the idea, that they want to change it into a blogging platform and people will use it as a front end to their lives instead of going off to other blogging tools. That was my guess. Ricky?
It was actually quite funny to sit Thursday evening and Friday morning because Twitter went through and removed legacy blue ticks, gold ticks, company ticks. They removed everyone. I think they only said there was 3 celebrities they kept, 3 or 4 celebrities that they gave an honorary tick to. The rest now is that you either pay $8.99. For a company, it's £950 a month, which is ridiculous. And I think there was a fake one already, wasn't there, from Hillary Clinton? That someone bought the tick and said, oh, I'm going to run again. And yeah, and even a couple of the influencers that I know, YouTube-wise, big ones, they've lost their ticks. They obviously had special honours ones. They just got it for free as their business grew, and they've lost theirs as well. So everyone now, you either see has a tick or don't, and it's actually quite funny to see it's just been removed. And I wondered if people would buy it again. I definitely wouldn't. I can't see any benefit in buying a tick for myself.
Unless she wants to use it as your blogging platform.
Yeah, and 10,000 characters will take up most on a desktop, will take quite a lot of your feed, especially on a smartphone. Can you imagine seeing 10,000 characters? Yeah, and the company trialled it to see what it would look like as well, and I've seen that, and it's quite sort of no. I think Twitter should be either a rant at a company, which it normally is, isn't it, or you've got your own ideas and you want to share them with everyone still, but that's fair enough. But it's just basic information, isn't it, and clips and things that are shared.
Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing, whenever you've got a social network that is so darn popular, and now they walk in and go, well, it's so darn popular, let's make some significant changes, and it alienates everyone from it. it's embarrassing when that happens, and I can't imagine how they think that this is actually going to prove useful to anyone. As soon as I see a 10,000 word tweet from someone, I will instantly unfollow them and block them so I don't see that again. I'm not there for that. I'll go to Medium. I'll go to their personal blog if I want to read that. Do a link to your blog if you're going to do that for further reading. Yes, there's the other side of it where you get people who do that and they take a screenshot or they post a picture of a PDF so that they can tweet that way. That's not going to change, I don't imagine. But yeah, Twitter's getting worse and worse by day. I used to love it, but not anymore. It's just embarrassing. And if they were even to package on the blue tick and that gets rid of all promotional ads, that would be great. But no, it doesn't. You still see ad content if you pay.
Yep.
Terrible. All right. Moving on to bionic reading, Ted. I tried this morning, and blimey, it was great. I went and whizzed through all of the things that we were supposed to talk about. Yeah, how did you find it? And Ricky, can you use it too?
I'm just trying to.
Well, Ted, you can tell us about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let Ted.
I installed it and installed the. You have to install a Chrome extension. I don't know what you do with other browsers, but in the Chrome extension, you just basically get a web page up and click on the extension button, and it turns it into bionic reading. Bionic reading works with the basis that your brain only needs to see the first couple of letters of a word and the last letter of a word to work out what it says. And sure enough, as you found, Gareth, I think I certainly found that you can fast read stuff. You can zoom across it and get the whole idea of what's going on very, very quickly. We've seen this before. That these kind of ideas have been put in. In fact, I saw one where they removed all the vowels from a paragraph and they got people to read it. And sure enough, people were able to read it. Their brains worked with it, and it all seemed to work. This does it slightly differently in that it makes bold the letters that they think are key. And yes, it works, and I found it to be useful if you needed to read stuff quickly. Yeah,
it's top stuff. Ricky, if you've had a chance, it would be interesting to get your 20 cents or your 1 cent, your a certain amount of money on it, and see how you manage to deal with it. That'd be cool. It is a really good feature, and anyone who reads an awful lot on the internet, this is pretty darn good, and it gets rid of a lot of the content around it as well. A bit like what's the thing on Microsoft Edge, the reader mode type thing,
and on Chrome. We'll come to that a bit later.
We will do, and I'm interested to see, Ted, which you prefer. So prepare yourself, you're going to be interrogated, or at least just give us an answer. I prefer this. Right, next up is how to get the Samsung Notes app on the Windows PC. If you have a Samsung device with a pen, you probably use the Notes app quite frequently because it's very useful. But one issue is that syncing all of your notes down to Windows 10 and 11 is not terribly easy, and I believe when I used it, there was a client that you could use to show everything up, but this seems to install the Android version of it.
No, not the Android version, the Windows version. This is Samsung Notes app, inverted commas, which until you employ this little tool, this trick, you can only get on Samsung Galaxy laptops, so Samsung's own Windows laptops, and you can't install it on ordinary Windows machine. However, some bright spark has come up with the method of going to the terminal window, the terminal window, and then typing in a command line, wingit space install space Samsung Notes, press enter, say yes, and that's it, it's done. And I couldn't believe it. I'm the last one to be messing about with terminal windows, to be honest, but that was so simple. Even I did it. And sure enough, up popped the application in my in my application list on Windows. Shortcut on the desktop. It synced up straight away to all my stuff that I'd used on Samsung. Works fine. So that was it, really.
Okay. Ricky, any use for this?
I'm going to use this to bring in my notes that I've had from the S22 and S23 Ultra. So this will be really interesting. And I might even show the process of doing it actually in a video. Just
Good
Excellent.
call.
Just
Well, let us know, and we'll send that out as well. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Moving on to the Google Gantry and Chrome Corner. Someone's been playing with the show notes.
Sorry, I just was aware that we were quite often struggling for Chrome OS stories, and I thought, right, we'll include Google in this as well, and then it'll make it a bit broader. Google
And you went
Drive.
with Gantry as opposed to the Gallows because they constantly...
Gallows, yeah. Well, feel free to change it. Google Drive's redesigned location picker is the first one, where you can look at, instead of dragging and dropping files around, and half the time it not working, half the time it doesn't grab it properly, then they've got this redesigned picker, which works really well. I've tested that out, and it works excellently well. A much better idea indeed. Google Chat Progressive Web App, PWA, gets Material U redesign. Now I know that Google Chat, for those that use it, is built into Gmail on Windows and in Chrome browsers. But this PWA is actually really good. I've been using it. It's quite nice to use a standalone PWA to do chatting, and it makes it very much like a messenger. So I approve of that. Very, very good indeed.
Well done, Google. You've pleased Ted.
Yes, indeed. The Google's Find My Device service apparently someday could track phones even when they're off. So this is an article which is talking about, from Android Police, talking about the fact that the whole kind of Find My Device thing doesn't work if people's batteries are dead or the phone's off. Well, they found some way of changing that, and I don't really understand how they've done it, to be honest, but they have done it. And I think that Apple have already got this working, haven't they? I think.
There's something on Apple where if your phone has died and you need to use it to pay to get through the gate lines at stations, I think you still can.
Oh. Right.
It has some residual sort of energy to do that, and I'm not particularly sure what you can do, what its limits are. Mm-hmm. Offline, I don't think you can track a device. I think it has to be on.
Okay. Well, Google apparently have found a way of doing this with Android devices, and they're going to be rolling it out at some point if it works properly and they can do it. The other thing that, talking about Apple, that Google are doing, which is to let people use their tablets signed into the same account, like you can with Apple and iPads, to take phone calls and manage that stuff on the tablet, as well as, instead of the phone that hooks into the same account. So yeah, very, very much what Apple have done already, making the whole system a, what's it called? Nearby calling. And letting you use whatever device you want to do that with.
Highly recommended that option. I use that all the time, where either my phone's downstairs, it can be that far away, and I could use certain services and say, hey, call whoever, and they would. And yeah, it just uses your phone, and then if you go walking around, find your phone, just tap, and then it transfers to the phone. I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. And the last one is back to that tease from earlier, which is reading mode, now working properly in Chrome OS. I haven't got it working in Windows yet, but this is reading mode, it's called. And it works with the sidebar, the side panel that you can invoke in Chrome these days. I had it working on the Chromebook. The side panel also works in Windows. You can get that up. Yeah, I think you still need to throw a flag on that. I was using the developer channel on my Pixelbook on Chrome OS 1.1.4 to get all this working, and the reader mode suddenly popped in. You do have to also apply a new flag for that as well. You've got to be on version 1.14, but it works beautifully well. So as you can see from my screenshot, you two, that on the right-hand side panel, you can basically take any website that you're navigating to and click on the button in the extension, and it strips out all the crap you don't need to see. All the adverts go, all the pictures go. It retains the hyperlinks, and it all works really well. You can also resize that window, so you can drag the window to be half the screen or as little as you want on the screen, and it works really well. Going back to your question, Gareth, I can't answer you because I haven't used the Edge one.
I was going to say, this is very much like the Apple version they've got, haven't they? The Easy Read.
Yes, they have. You're
which
right.
I use for when we're doing this podcast, is that I'll go to the article, Easy Read, and then actually you can choose to highlight some options as well.
Yep.
So I can highlight bits. I find that, for me, as a visually impaired person, it strips away everything except for the bits that I need to actually read, that are important to me there and then.
Well, this reading mode also has editing tools as well, which we did cover on the last show, where you can increase or decrease the size of the font. You can add italics or bold to whatever you want. So that line of tools at the top of the page, the sidebar in reading mode, you can manipulate that, and as you say, change the font. They've obviously, I didn't know that Apple had done that, but they obviously have done the same thing. Yeah. So that was my Google. What was it? Gallows. Google Gallows and Chrome Corner entries, if anyone wants to comment further on any of those.
Okay. Just opened my reading list for the first time in, well, what would appear to be around about 41 days. And, some of my articles on there are 400 days old. Wow. It's been running for that long? Flip me.
No, that's the list. That's not the mode. That's
I know,
but
it just shows how little I go into it
okay. Right.
How long it's been. Right. Okay, well, in the harkback section, Ricky, do you want to tell us some of your fond memories of the Sony PlayStation?
I do, yeah. So I went from Sega over to PlayStation, and then I started with the PlayStation 1. I can remember it fondly with the memory cards and just the pure enjoyment, actually, of having it. I think I received it for Christmas, so it was a Christmas present, and it was just enjoyable. I can remember, because I had the Segas and I was into it, and I sort of stepped away from it a little bit, and yeah, as a child, you was like, oh, what do you want? And I was never one of these, I want this for Christmas, I want that. And I can remember just receiving the Sony PlayStation, and it was amazing. I just enjoyed it, and it got me into gaming. And obviously, with my vision, it's never been great, but I'd always have a go. And obviously, looking now where like accessibility is amazing, back in the day, it wasn't great. You could either play it or you couldn't. Yeah. But for me, yeah. It all started with the Sony PlayStation. Absolutely loved it. So a little bit of context. I just want to say, I think the year it was 2000 it released.
No.
Sorry,
95.
no. I've gone. Yeah, 95. Sorry, I've gone to the wrong model. Yeah, 95, which seems such a long time ago now. I feel old as well. I do feel so old in saying that, and I can remember sort of like the memory cards and. Yeah, it was just, if anyone looks at it now, it's just a grey box, isn't it? It doesn't look like anything to sort of look at. But some of the games as well, I chose some of the games that I sort of played on mine. One of them would have been Grand Theft Auto.
Good call. Would
have been one of them. Other one is Tony Hawk's as well. Big fan of that. Final Fantasy, I had a go. I never really got into the series. I don't know if anyone else did, but I did sort of have a go with Final Fantasy. Was one of my biggest ones. And then also Metal Gear Solid I tried. Crash Bandicoot was a big fan of. I sort of really enjoyed my time. But I would say the biggest one that I would sort of play, Gran Turismo. Obviously that's where it sort of started for them, didn't it? Really enjoyable. But no, I would say I had a lot of fun, a lot of hours. And then I only realised recently, through the joys of TikTok, that the spires that you saw at the beginning was actually how much memory you had on the cards. So you know the boot sequence that used to show spires, like towers.
Oh yeah.
That represented the amount.
Sort of.
Yeah, that represented the amount of memory you had on your memory cards.
Oh, and what if you didn't have a memory card plugged in?
I think you just saw a standard one. It was, but apparently that's what it related to.
How obscure.
Yeah, it's very obscure. It's very sort of strange, but no, I had huge memories and huge fans, and then I went on to the PS2, PS3, 4, and then 5. And I would say now as an adult, I don't play it as much. One, time is very limited, and two, there's some games I just don't enjoy. But I would say, from a vision impaired person's point of view, accessibility wise, it's come on so much, which has been amazing. Like The Last of Us 2, I think won so many awards for the most accessible game. It had a very diverse region of accessibility settings, which was fantastic. Really like to see that. Obviously the consoles have got better, but no, it all started for me. It first started with Sega, and then playing Sonic with the family, and then moving on to Sony. I'd say.
Yeah. No, I hear you. The PlayStation 1 was something else. Over its lifespan, it actually sold 967 million units, which is unbelievable. Well, that's worldwide, obviously. And it had 3,061 games, official games, made for it as well. There were other games as well, and but obviously you can't really total those up. But it was powered by an R3000 microprocessor, which is a 32-bit RISC processor, which was clocked at 33 megahertz, and it had 2 megabytes of RAM and 1 megabyte of VRAM, which was a tiny amount, and obviously it required that memory card in order for you to be able to save your progress and stuff. But I actually came to it quite late. My parents never bought me one. I had to go out and buy my own. And I think I got a fairly cheap deal from a friend who ran a gaming shop in my local town, and he also modded them as well, so he would be able to make it region free region free, so I could play games from anywhere around the world, because I would quite frequently go out to my brother in Boston, and going through duty free you'd be able to pick up games and things like that quite cheap, or buy second hand games and they were a lot cheaper than they were here. So I was able to come back with these games and play them on my PlayStation. Some of the games, I adored driving games.
Yeah.
And I had Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit was my go-to game. And I remember going back to people's houses after the pub, and maybe they had a copy, and we'd race on the PlayStation, and they could never beat me. They tried, and they would, one of them in particular would practice all week, and then ply me with drink, and I'd sit down and still wipe the floor. I'm unbeaten in that game, I have to say. But also Gran Turismo was fantastic as well. Tomb Raider, which was quite an iconic game that I loved. And there was another one called Auto Destruct, which reminded me a wee bit of Grand Theft Auto 3, I suppose, when you think about it, where you've got a whole city to be able to drive around in and smash through malls and things like that. It was a cracker of a game. I loved it, but I actually ditched the PlayStation 1 and moved to Xbox, primarily for Project Gotham Racing, and stayed on the Xbox for the next couple of generations until I got a late PlayStation 3 and then the PlayStation 4. So I kind of abandoned ship. But it's true to my Sega roots, because the Xbox is where Sega were going with with the Dreamcast 2, and Microsoft purchased all that hardware. So the Xbox, the first generation Xbox, is essentially what Sega were going to be releasing.
See, I was really quite fortunate in being an only child with very generous grandparents that an Xbox came like on my birthday sort of thing. So I was lucky in that sense, and I do feel quite lucky that I had both, because they were expensive and I had the joys. And obviously now having both consoles again, I rarely buy any games now for my Xbox. I just use the Game Pass service, what they have, because they just seem to top it up with so many games. And then obviously they link into other services as well, where they've got a bit of I think they've taken on a few Ubisoft. Before they launched their own platform, they took on a few of their games. And I just do it that way, that I use... So my PS5 is a disc version, so I have that one. And then my Xbox X, Series X, I just use sort of online stuff. And I was very generous to have both. I do know that. I know not everyone was able to. So I do feel quite lucky, and I think they've changed so much. And I would like to think... like we've gone through the 1 up to the 5, and then now let's add another 20 plus years on. What we're going to get in the future will be quite exciting to see what gaming's like. Will it be a console? Will it be... I think it would very much be cloud-based gaming. I don't know if we'll have the physical sort of divide against digital. I think the prices still need to come down, but I understand why the prices are higher for a digital version compared to a physical version.
Yeah. Well, I'm a physical media person. However, whenever it comes to gaming, I completely lean over to the digital service, and not so much streaming. I love Steam for the way it works, where you download and install your games, and they're all in your library there. I have bought the odd game here and there over the years, but nothing beats being able to just jump onto a store, click a button and purchase it when it's on sale. I think the slightly higher price increase really just it kind of covers over the whole idea of having to get out of your seat, pick up a disc and put it in the PlayStation. I'm not for doing that at all anymore. And in fact, some of the games that I had on PlayStation 4, I didn't play because they weren't in the PlayStation 4 when I sat down to play the PlayStation 4. And I would just go with whatever was available or whatever was in the drive, because I'm too lazy to change the disc. But yeah, having a look at the PlayStation 1, it was given her a facelift in 2000, actually, yeah, where they made the little PS1.
Yeah, I think that's where I've got confused.
Oh, right, yeah. It's such a beautiful little dinky machine. I actually have that as well. I still have my original PS1. Plus, I picked up one of those light versions, or whatever you want to call it, or I think it was... there's the PlayStation, and then there's the PS1. Yeah, the PS1's the new small version. And I got one of those for £10. But it had a screen with some speakers attached to it as well. Well, it was dirt cheap. It was this wee LCD screen. I can't find the LCD screen with the speakers, but it was designed so that you could play it in the back of a car. You could take it with you. But I haven't been driven anywhere for a long time, so I've never had the chance to use it. But I bought it for my stepdaughter to be able to play one of the games that she liked playing, Harry Potter or something like that, on the go. But we never got to doing that, which is a bit of a shame. But I still have it somewhere sitting there, but it's departed from the screen. Ted, did you have an original PlayStation 1?
No, and I was just sitting here reflecting, listening to you two, thinking how nice it was for a change for you to have someone on the show that you can actually talk to about gaming. Because gaming for me, you see, I'm older than you two, and my gaming as a child was not what you got for Christmas. It was going down the...
It was going on the cobbles.
It was going down the amusement arcade, and it was playing machines like pinballs and one-arm bandits, and a bit later Space Invaders down the pub, I suppose. But that was my experience. Home computing, gaming-wise, was just something that I missed out on. And I do try to be enthusiastic about it because of, you encourage me, Gareth. But I'm afraid that I lived in a different time where, I'm kicking and screaming, I drag in. I did have an experience, as you know, with the Super NES in the early 90s when I got into that for a while, and the Game Boy. But apart from that, no. I don't think I've ever seen a PlayStation in the flesh.
Right, okay. Well, I would say that over the years, I'd say my gaming tastes have very much changed, like to the point where fast action games just don't interest me anymore. I prefer something that's much slower, that I don't have a stressful time playing anymore. Like, say, I got very much into Fallout 4 on the PlayStation and the PC, because you could choose how you wanted to play that game, whether it was run and gun and bang bang bang, or you could just take it slowly and explore and be strong and take damage if something was to suddenly pop out. Yesterday, I spent almost the entire day, I have to be honest, playing a game called Deliver Us the Moon, because it just gripped me, and it was just something that I quite enjoy now. That wasn't a fast-paced action game. It was just an experience to be able to play through at my leisure and not feel stressed out about having to do something within a certain amount of time, or running out of bullets or running out of energy or whatever, although there are certain elements of that game that come in there, but it's a much gentler experience. And I look at my son, who comes down and says, "Daddy, do you want to play this with me?" And I'm like, oh God, no. He loves a game called Rayman, which is a platformer, and I can't play those anymore. I get so frustrated because my reactions are so much slower than they used to be when I was playing Super Mario Brothers. And I think about Ted, and it's like, how can Ted play Super Mario Brothers? He's older than me. His reaction's got to be slower again. He's like a boiling kettle. It takes about 3 minutes for him to press the jump button, does it not?
But the thing with Super Mario World is that I know it so well that I'm on autopilot.
Oh, muscle memory, whatever. There's a factor there, yeah. But Grand Theft Auto as well, the original Grand Theft Auto, I don't know how I played that game. Ricky, have you been back to play that game since?
Yeah, I have. The top-down view is great. And London as well. I can remember they'd done the version for London, didn't they? And I really wish Rockstar would go back to London, because you've got so many different areas and zones and stuff. You've got so much transportation. I really wish they would. And I just don't think they will, because the American market is so much more that they need to tailor for that market. And it's such a shame. The top-down view, like, there was one you had to deliver an oil tanker, and do you think I could do it? I just couldn't do it again, and I was so frustrated. And I'm like you sometimes. I sit and play games, and I'm like, and my partner will look at me, she's like, why are you playing a game that was... I was like, you just don't know this stuff. You don't know it. And I say to her, what games would you play? And she's, Sonic and Mario, and stuff like that. And I show her some of the new titles that I have a go on. And she played the new Harry Potter one and like that. But she's like, I just don't know what I'm doing now.
Yeah. I speak to my wife as well about gaming, and she's like, I don't have time for games anymore. But she's still sitting there with her tablet for 3 hours playing
Candy Crush?
But hidden object games, where there's...
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. Some garden... Vera's Garden or something, I don't know. And then there's Words with Friends as well. When she's not doing one, she's doing the other. And it's like, but they're still games. That still works. Anyway, yes, the PlayStation 1 was very much an iconic piece of hardware. I loved it. Ricky loved it. Ted's just Ted about it. And hopefully we'll entice him to talk about something.
I've enjoyed your enthusiasm and listening to you talking about it. That's been fine.
Yes. But dear listener, what are your joyful memories of the PlayStation? Did you have one? Let us know, and we'll maybe resurrect this on a future show and have a chat about it then as well. But right now, we're going to go to the bargain basement, where there's cheap things to be had. And we'll start with Mr. Ted Salmon, who's got something I don't know what it is. What is it?
A couple of microphones for budding podcasters or creators. The HyperX Quadcast and the Quadcast S, both on 33% off or thereabouts. Each one has got different bells and whistles and lights and no lights and all the usual stuff you get with kind of a gaming centric microphone or content creator microphone. One is $79.85 from 120, and the other one's 109 from 160 quid. So yes, a lovely pair of microphones for someone who would make use of them.
I just want to jump on and say that I've got the HyperX Solocast one, which I've used, and you should have heard this video, should be through that. So it works great. My recent videos, it's gone down well. It's got very touch-sensitive controls, which is good. Do have a little bit careful. Remember, if you have muted yourself, because the light faces the wrong way sometimes. So, but no, I've really enjoyed it, and there's some content that I've shared on that as well.
Excellent.
Sweet. Good call. Okay, I'm going with a TV. This is the Hisense 55-inch 600-nit 4K HDR 10 plus 120Hz Dolby Vision IQ ULED Smart TV. And it's dropped in price. It's down from £900 to £479.
Wow.
That's a 55-inch. That's a good amount. Hisense do get really good reviews as well, and their products do seem to be terribly reliable as well, which is grand. It's got full array local dimming, darker darks and brighter brights, which is always useful. That 600 nits of peak brightness will allow you to be able to watch it with severe reflections if you've got glass windows or whatever, as windows generally tend to be in a house, glass. But it delivers both the HDR10 Plus and the Dolby Vision, which some TVs actually today are still lacking for a good amount. There's also a 65-inch version as well, which is down to £765 from £800. For some reason, its RRP is cheaper. Maybe they messed that up somewhere, but it's a 4% saving apparently. But yeah, that 55-incher seems like a really good little TV for you to, I don't know, throw in a bedroom or something like that, or maybe have in your kitchen on the wall.
Luxury.
Yeah. 55 inches is a wee TV now, isn't it? Considering what we have, 100-inch TVs.
For normal people. Yeah, it looks nice. Okay, my next one is those Soundcore Space Q45s again, which started off at 140 quid, didn't drop down apart from the initial spurt of very often, and they're now back down to under 100 quid. So, we've spoken about these before. They're really, really good pair of headphones. 50 hours of playtime, and that's with the noise cancelling on. I think it's 60 with it off. And we reviewed a number of YouTube videos where the people that know about these things are comparing them very closely with the XM4s from Sony. So a really good pair of headphones from Soundcore, and super price.
Yeah, 50 hours of playback time is really very good for this. They are excellent headphones. Yes. Next up is, I said I was looking for a wee SATA SSD to throw into my computer, and I've been going on various websites and things like that and seeing them being bought up quite quickly. So I think actually going for the larger sizes, like 4 terabytes and beyond, is one of the more sensible places to actually sit, because they still have them in stock. There was a Transcend 4 terabyte one, and I know Transcend is a strange brand, but I think I've watched a few videos on them recently, and they're apparently a very, very good brand. But I noticed on Amazon that they have dropped the price of the Samsung 870 QVO 8 terabyte 2.5 inch SATA from £452 to £422, which isn't a huge saving, but every little helps. And this is an 8 terabyte SSD. It's £400, but I think that's a damn good deal. You could go out quite easily and spend around about £300 on a 4 terabyte SSD, whereas this is £422 for double the price. I'm sorely tempted. If they were doing payments on this, I'd maybe consider it. Maybe.
Yeah, I was very hoping. I've just looked to see if there was any options even on the 4 terabyte, because I've been given a new device where you can. It's a Mac Mini stand and dock where you can add in drives like this. So it'd be great to add something in, but the only offer it's giving me is their credit card one. I've been following very much on your recent shows about trying to find out where the buying options are. But no, I haven't got any come up, which is such a shame.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But the Samsung ones are darn good. I have a couple of Samsungs in my machine at the moment, and they rock. I've recently had an experience with I got a Kingston 2 terabyte drive some years ago, and I didn't realize at the time, but it doesn't have, I think it's VRAM on board, which means it really slows down. If you delete a large chunk of data off it, you can forget using that drive again for about 3 or 4 minutes as it removes it and then gets back to what it was doing. It's maddening, because I'd started using it for video editing, and then whenever I wanted to get rid of the video that I just edited, I have to sit there and wait. The drive just slowed down. The process manager went up to 100%, and sat at that for about 4 minutes until it came back down again. So there's some issue with it, and I can't find anyone else who's suffering the same problem. But I believe that the Samsung range has VRAM included on it as well. But it's something that's really difficult to work out from the outset as to whether or not it has VRAM or not. And you could suffer from this problem if you're, deleting large amounts of data. Anyway, move on.
Indeed.
Ted.
Right, my next one is the OnePlus Nord CE3 Lite, which is not so much a bargain, doesn't quite qualify, but it's just been released, and it's been very aggressively priced, I think. This is a challenger to my Motorola Edge 30 Neo for sure, except it hasn't got any Qi charging, but the rest of the specs are really impressive. It has got an LCD display, which is a bit of a downward, but it's got a big display for those that want that, and a micro SD card, stereo speakers, a really good looking 108 megapixel camera, 3.5mm audio jack, believe it or not, side mounted capacitive fingerprint scanner. Really looks like a nice device, and I think OnePlus will do quite well with this one. But yeah, not technically a bargain, but it is $299 on Amazon, and it's just arrived.
Okay, yeah, that's a good looking phone. That green is quite nice too.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, sorry, I lost you then.
Oh, okay. The OnePlus Nord CE3 Lite?
Yeah, I had a press release about this, but I haven't received a device, which would have been really nice. It would have been nice to have the actual device. But yeah, I agree. I think the Nord stuff, I can remember having a couple of the variants of it. The green is very bright, though. That's you'd soon notice something different. I suppose it would stand out, though.
I think it's a decent looking device, actually, with good specs. Good specs.
Yeah.
But we come to expect that from OnePlus. All right, the last one is me thinking of you guys in the mainland, because I've got a big heart that way, and that's the Vegger. We'll go with I like Vegger. 20,000 milliamp hour power bank, and this is a 22.5 watt fast charging USB Type C battery pack that looks really quite dinky as well. It's got QC 4.0 PD 3.0 portable charger with 3 outputs compatible with iPhones, smartphones, tablets, and more. And it's down in price from £30 to £26.99. And if you click the 25% off voucher, you'll get even more money off as well, which takes it down to 25% off what that was. It's a really nice looking power bank. It's short and stumpy, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks really, really good value for money, doesn't it?
It does.
20,000 and USB-C, 22.5 output, but that 25% off presumably makes it about 19 quid or something, doesn't it? And yeah, that's a really... And so dinky. 20,000 milliamp hours. There's a picture there of someone holding it in a human hand, and you can see how small it is. It's really nice.
Yeah, and it comes with a wee bag as well.
Ooh!
Which, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I wish I could have one of these, but I can't because I live in a second-class country.
I'll send it to you if you like.
Well, you're okay. I'll get a P.O. box down south, maybe send it there. Stickers, I'll have to start shopping in Amazon.ie at some point. Right. That appears to be about that. That's all of it. Ricky, you don't have any bargains, do you?
No, I haven't come across anything. I will make sure to add some in.
No worries. Okay, well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can also find us on Twitter as well, at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter too, at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I have also put in the show notes a link to my Mastodon profile, and I've got my .com as well, which is, surprisingly enough, GarethMiles.com. Ted, where can they find you?
They can find me at my.com too, tedsalmon.com, and links to all the audio podcasts that I'm involved in and all the MeWe groups. So do come and join in the MeWe groups. We like to hear what tech you're using. If you want to buy me a coffee for what I do, then paypal.me/TedSalmon is where you can do that.
Great. And Ricky, what's all your gubbins?
Well, I'm across most social media platforms. Main one is YouTube, so if you just search Ricky's Tech Talk, you'll find me. Same name for Twitter and Facebook, and I'm trying to jump on the MeWe groups as well and share some advice where I can.
Terrific. Awesome. Brilliant news. All right, well, we'll be back in 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed the 3 o'clock noise that emitted from your phone, and we're looking forward to that because it's going to happen in an hour and 40 minutes. Woo! Woo! All right. Take care, and we'll see you next time on the Tech Addicts Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.